What street is that? Fourth and no, Fourth and Elm. Good afternoon. It is 4 o'clock on March 18th, 2023, and I'm happy to welcome you to this meeting of the Conway City Council. We will be graced with an invocation and pledge of allegiance by our own Reverend Robert Bannon from Kingston Presbyterian Church.
Let us pray. Holy and gracious God, we thank you for the spring. And Lord, it is in the spring that we are reminded that in you we all have new life. Lord, as we head into Holy Week and Easter just less than 2 weeks away, we are reminded of the good news of the resurrection. So God, I ask that you bless this meeting. I ask that you bless the discussions that we have, that we remember that you have made each and every one of us in your image, even though we don't always agree. But to guide our thoughts, guide our discussions, help our mayor, our council, and our city staff to do their jobs justly, fairly, and with love in their hearts. God, we thank you for Conway and all the beautiful citizens that you have placed here. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Reverend Bannon. We will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda if there is one. Ms. White?
Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Thank you so much. Is there a second? Ms. Butler?
I second his motion.
We have a properly seconded motion to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, please indicate your favor by showing your hand. Motion carries unanimously. And now relative to the actual agenda, is there a motion?
Mayor, the approval of the agenda is implied by the printing of the agenda, so that's already been taken care of.
Thank you so very much. Another change we'll note. Thank you very much. We're at item 4, public input. This is an opportunity for anyone to speak to this body on almost any subject, the exception being that has to do with an individual employee. Of course, that would need to be taken up in a more private venue. Whoever chooses to speak will be allotted 5 minutes, and there are monitors everywhere so that you can gauge your time. If someone has just about finished a sentence, I will not stop you, but I can't let you go much over 5 minutes. The last thing I need to mention is that generally, public input is not interactive. You won't get responses from people. Somebody on staff may, in fact, offer you a business card, but otherwise, please just know that we are paying close attention to your words and that we care about what you bring before us. We've heard in advance from 2 individuals who are speaking under public input. The first is Moderator Graham from the Kingston Lake Missionary Baptist Association. Sir, if you'd come forward, please. Give us your full name and address, and we're ready to hear from you.
Good afternoon, Mayor and
Good
Council.
afternoon.
My name is Reverend Thessalonian Graham. I reside 105 Sherwood Drive here in Conway, South Carolina. I am the 19th moderator of the Kingston Lake Missionary Baptist Association, where we have 37 churches and around 3,000 members. And we're here today with a concern and also a request. We own the property at 378 and Granger Road, and then on Rose Hill Drive, that goes behind our property. We had a request of zoning about a year ago, and the city council heard from Parker Kitchen on, I think, last council meeting, and had some objections to the service station being there. We kind of feel that the city is a little unethical there. I highlighted what the article said in the paper. It was commented about the service station being in a residential area and near a cemetery and near a daycare. It is a daycare there, but I don't, maybe city council don't know that to the right of us, there's a service station. Across the road is a service station. And behind us, there is a cemetery. We do take a little issue with the cemetery because the city owns the cemetery. So, and then it was stated in the paper at a church, and I think, Sister Mayor, I think you are a member of the church there, and I think we did, from what we know, we did not have any objection, no public comments. So we feel that the city was a little unjust in their comments. So we want to be ethical, because if not, then that makes it hard for us to believe and understand what the city is doing. Because of that, our vendor pulled out, and truly we lost a big sale, and it has really put a damper on us as Kings Lake Missionary Baptist Association. We did feel that Parker's Kitchen was ideal because the city has done an outstanding job with the downtown renovation and the streetscape, and you have a lot of traffic downtown here, and people moving back and forth. And if you looked at some of the buildings that Parker Kitchen has, it is fine buildings, they are community oriented, and we feel that that would help our area. When we looked at the price that they were giving, we also feel that it would help our black area in making our property equal up to what it is. Then lastly, when we got there, we got the cemetery there behind us. There is a daycare on the left side. The church is about midway of your cemetery. There is two Habitat houses that was built right there by the Masonic Lodge. The Masonic Lodge was requesting their status. That was the last piece of property. We were the first ones that Parker, we request a commercial zoning. So we feel that that it is ideal for commercial. If you go out in that area, there is no houses until you get beyond the cemetery. There is no houses on the left side until you get beyond the church. The church has a parking lot. So we feel that the city is unfair and not ethical when they say a residential area. It is zoned, was zoned residential, but houses there, no. We've had the property since 1940. If you make a right on Rose Hill Drive, you go all the way down, exception of two Habitat houses, cemetery on the right, there's nothing there until you get to the other road. We also felt that Parker's Kitchen or whatever business that comes there, it is ideal because you got the 378. I think the city wanted them to look at the 378 exit. But we also feel that the 378 Ranger Road and Rose Hill Drive, that's the city property, city streets, that would make it even more safe and more ideal. So we're asking as the city go forward, please consider that. We will put our property back up for sale. We will be looking for businesses. It may be another service station, and we hope that the city will be ethical, and whatever comes there will be able to meet our needs as well as benefit the city. We thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. Also, Mr. Ron Matta, regarding the Warden Track annexation, has spoken of his interest to speak under public input today. Mr. Matta, if you would please also give your full name and your address for us. Thank you.
My name is Ron Hutter. I'm a resident and taxpayer of the city of Conway. come here as a taxpayer. And I want you to know that I'm not only irate and upset, I am incensed at the annexing of that land on 701. I was opposed to it from the beginning. And I was told by a city council that you were not going to annex that land, and don't worry, your taxes are not going to go up. Was I lied to? I don't know. I was told that you were not going to annex it. I don't know what to say. There's nothing worse than a politician lying to the people. Anyone of you who's going to stand up and say my taxes are not going to go up? Of course not. I don't know, but it's just like, I talked to the city council, why did you want to buy the fish market? I was told for parking. I said, well, why did you take it by eminent domain? Well, we don't like to do that. Of course not. Because if you do that, you have to use that land for the public good, for parking, for a park, or a playground, or a school. I just feel like all you care about is catering to the special interests, for the developers. I feel like it shows for the developers. I don't know what to say. I don't know. I want some answers, but I don't seem to be able to get them. So if I have to go to the Freedom of Information Act, I'll do that. But I want to know why I was told that we were not going to annex it. And January 2nd, when many were sworn in, you annexed that land. To the detriment of the city of Conway. My taxes are going to skyrocket. If you think you're going to get enough tax money out of that to cover the cost of what's going to happen, if there's one student for every 4 units, that means you're going to have to build a new school. Where are you going to build it? Who's going to pay for it? If it's not within walking distance for the students, that means you have to get more buses. If you put 50 students on a bus, that means you're going to have to buy 16 new buses. Who's going to pay to staff the school? Who's going to pay for the infrastructure going? Who's going to pay for the streetlights? We the people are going to pay for it. And I just feel like you betrayed us. It kills me to say that, but we the people are tired of this crap. This is exactly what happened in the place I left. I left there to come here because I didn't want to be there because you're doing exactly what they did. They let the developers cut blanche. The city eventually went bankrupt. Went into receivership. The strain they put on all the city services. Who's going to pay for the rubbish collections? And the recyclers. Who's going to have to? Where's the nearest fire station to that? You're going to have to put a fire station? I mean, the police department's on the other side of 501. If you have to send a car from there over there, it's going to be a while before they get there. Now, I left my house 7:30 tomorrow to go to 544. It took me 20 minutes to get out of Conway. If there's an ambulance that has to go from that land to Sealing Ridge Road on a morning at 7:30, they're not going to get it down, it's all jammed up. I tried going over the bridge over there on 501 business, same thing. If somebody's having a heart attack, they're going to have to go to Georgetown, a Singleton Ridge Road, and God bless them, that person will never make it. Unless you build an access road, 701 to 544, with special vehicles. I just don't know. I'm just beginning to fight. If you think I'm going away, think again. It's time for people, hold you people accountable to do what's best for the citizens and not from special interests. That's all I have to say. So I'll be coming for you.
Mr. Matt, I didn't get your address. Could you give me your address?
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak under public input? Yes, ma'am. If you could, Ms. Fuller. If you give us your name and address, please.
Thank you. My name is Priscilla Fuller. I reside at 140 Clark Crossing in Conway, South Carolina. Thank you, Mayor and the City Council. I'm here on 3 concerns that I have. The first is the task force. When the city decided to undertake this task force, I was very optimistic because I saw an opportunity that the city could work with the citizens. One of the things I was taken back the other week when I looked in the paper to find that the city had put a hold on the task force. The one thing that I think I was taken back was just the way it was done, number one. That I felt that it was more appropriate to have met or notified the task force before the newspapers or the news media got it. Task force, I think, is very important, and I think a lot of good things can come out of it. But I do think, first of all, that it was disrespectful to the task force to learn about it from the news media. So I'm hoping in the future that we're looking to bring people together. We want to unite people. We don't want to separate people. And I think sometimes just the way we do it, we can disagree, but there's a way to do that. And I'm hoping that you guys would reconsider the task force, depending on what those boundaries and limitations that were given, to come back together to come up with something to benefit the people in that community, because we do want to see a community center there. So that's number one. Number two is the hate crime law that I'm hoping that the city will pass, because it's something that is extremely important in Conway and even in South Carolina, which most people know that South Carolina is one of the 2 states that do not have a hate crime law. And only last week I heard about, I think it was in Florence, where anti-Semitic literature was passed out in various neighborhoods. And that's happened in Conway. And the only thing people could do is issue littering citations, I guess. But those are hate crimes. And I think that one of the things that the mayor said in a press conference that was held, and a lot of other mayors have said, this is something we don't want in our town. We don't want this kind of behavior. So I am hoping that the city will pass this as quickly as possible. And the third thing is, I think it was Reverend Robert Bannerman. I enjoyed his prayer. But one of the things I think that we have to think about in Conway, we're getting all kinds of people coming here. We're getting different races, we're getting different nationalities, and we're getting different religions. And this month is the month of Ramadan for people who practice Islam. And it's one of the most sacred months in which people have look at themselves, a time of forgiveness, a time for introspection. And I just hope at some point that we will look at all of the people coming in and be inclusive of those people. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else, please? Yes, ma'am. Ms. Hickman. Ms. Williams, I'm sorry. If you'd give us your full name and address, please.
My name is Carolyn Hickman Williams. I reside at 2465 Buckman Road, Conway, South Carolina. Thank you, Mayor and City Council, for your time. I'm here to express my disappointment in the recent decision to pause the task force, which was focused on the former Whittemore Elementary property. The task force team had dedicated a significant amount of time and effort to develop goals for the important project given to them. It seems a shame to cut their work short before they had a chance to present their findings to the council and the public. My understanding is that they were given a specific time frame to present their recommendations to the council, which you did not keep up your word, or you did not follow the guidelines given to the task force. I would appreciate it if the council could share more details about your rationale behind pausing the task force. Were there specific concerns about the direction of the project? Was there additional information needed from the task force? Perhaps the council could have provided additional guidance and not picked apart items from their meetings to present and vote on at your city council meetings prior to specific deadline for the task force to present their presentation to the council and to the community. I believe the task force work is crucial to making the best decision for the Whittemore Elementary property. Let's work together to ensure that the best possible future for this important piece of our community history is maintained. The future of the Whittemore property is important to our community, and a well-researched plan is essential. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there others? Seeing none, I move that we close public input at this time. Is there a second? I'm sorry, somebody else wanting to speak? Yes. Please, if you would. Begin, if you will, with giving us your full name and address, please.
Again, good evening. I'm Marvin Neal. I'm the third Vice President, South Carolina State Conference, NAACP. Marvin Neal, third Vice President, South Carolina State Conference, NAACP. I don't know the format for your meeting here, because this is my first time standing in front of you, but I don't think it's, I noticed on your agenda, consideration for the resolution for the hate crime bill to encourage the South Carolina General Assembly governor to act statewide hate crime bill. I don't think it's any secret that there's only 2 states that don't have a hate crime bill. And I really don't think a resolution is the way to go. I think an ordinance is necessary. If there is a resolution, that is good to send to the governor, but that is not good for the city of Conway or anywhere. The situation that happened here in Conway is just a renew of what have happened in the past. And to continue to put a patch on it is not the way to go. Our ordinance is even a patch to some extent, but it covers the wound just a little bit more. We have family right now, the Williams family, that is still waiting to get back into their home because of a cross burning. Now the neighbors there have concerns about the same situation of those that created this harm to the Williams family. So I think that is enough to push forward with an ordinance, and it's also enough for every one of you to go to the governor, not just send an ordinance, but show your presence there. Because that's our intention, and that's what we have done, the NAACP and other organizations that care about the livelihood and humanity of those that sits here, expect a healthy living. No one should have to retire and buy a home to come here to live and then not be able to live in it. That is shameful. And it's even more shameful if you do nothing other than a resolution, because it's just a patch. Now, I'm not saying that to degrade anyone, but I understand resolutions well, and I understand, Mayor, you stood at the press conference with us, and you supported the efforts of the NAACP and the Sheriff Department, the Police Department, and the County Police Chief, and adjacent communities, Georgetown and Myrtle Beach. So I think we really need to look hard at what we are doing and send a strong message to those that might think about burning a cross, because it should not take that. It might be a lynching the next time. So, and we don't need that anywhere in the world. And it's shameful. I served 21 years in the military to come back to a country that I feel more fear in than those that I've served and try to protect and bring democracy to. And that should not be the case here. We should be a free country. But we understand freedom is never free, especially for those of color, especially for us and those of color. And I think we understand that. Black, white, Jews, Protestant, Catholics, it don't matter. Humanity is humanity, and hate is hate, and it affects everyone. Black, white, Jews, Protestants, everyone. It's important that you really take this serious, because to send a strong message to those, because it's a sickness. We know it's a mental health condition. We can't fix that, but we can move people of that nature to where they need to be, as though we have done in the past with others. So I ask you to not just pass a resolution, but pass an ordinance and support the effort all the way to the governor's office and knock on his door and say this is necessary. Because hate don't sit at the State House. It sits outside. The governor's protected either way. So please do that if you don't mind. God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else, please?
Mayor, you already have a first and a second for closing public input.
All right, if that's where we are.
Yeah.
Is there no one else? The motion sits. All in favor, please indicate your favor with a showing of your hand. Motion carries unanimously. Item 5, special presentations. We will have A and B, those that relate to longevity, and we will also have a presentation of the Employee of the Month. I've asked Ms. Helms to assist.
In 2001, City Council created a program to recognize milestones of our employees' longevity with the city in increments of 5 years. And tonight, we're excited to celebrate 2 of those employees. The first is Karina Goodson. Karina, will you head up here? She was hired in 2019 and currently works as a hospitality and beautification technician. All of the beautiful flowers downtown, she is in charge of keeping them alive and keeping them looking great, and a lot of other things too. But that's the biggest one that I think everybody gets to experience. Thank you, Karina, for all that you do. Pleasure
Your work brings us all a lot of compliments. Thank you for all you do.
Next up is Chris Price. Chris is celebrating 10 years with us tonight. Chris was hired in 2014 as a firefighter 1. In 2016, he was promoted to a firefighter 1 driver operator. In 16, he was also promoted to firefighter 2. In 19, to fire engineer. In 21, to fire sergeant. And he was reclassified last year to fire lieutenant. Congratulations, Chris, on 10 years in the city of Conway. Chris, if you stay right here, we just want to know.
Chris, thank you for your service.
I like surprises. Lieutenant Price has employed the fire department for the last 10 years. He's been an officer since 2021. Chris has the drive and determination to succeed in his career, and in the last couple of years, he has strived to become more involved with the inner workings of the department. If there is a task that needs to be completed or an off-duty assignment, he is usually the first to volunteer. Most recently, he applied for the South Carolina Firefighters Association Fire Officer Academy. This is a new program that is highly competitive for all applicants. He was selected among 75 plus applicants to participate in this week-long program, and he completed the program on Friday, March 8, 2024. I think there's a picture in the slide. He was named the 2024 Tony D. Hendrick Fire Officer of the Year at this year's awards banquet. And Chris is proof that even though you face challenges in your career, you can control your own destiny. For all those reasons and many more, I would like to congratulate Lieutenant Christopher Price.
Congratulations, and again, thank you for your service. Item 6 is first reading and public hearing of ordinance ZA 2020-40415A to amend the city's future land use map of the City of Conway Comprehensive Plan relative to property located on 6th Avenue. The PIN is listed in the agenda, consisting of approximately 3,100 of an acre from low, medium density district to professional district. Ms. Huggs.
Yes, ma'am. The city's current future land use map was adopted in 2019 in conjunction with the current land use element of the comprehensive plan. When reviewing and considering requests for annexation and/or rezoning, staff must consider the use that is designated on the future land use map for the subject property. And when a request doesn't align with the use specified on the future land use map, the map must be updated to reflect the change. This particular property located on 6th Avenue is currently zoned R1, which is low and medium density residential, and the city's current future land use map also identifies the property as R1. The property is located directly behind the old Barker's Gas and Service Station, which is zoned neighborhood commercial. And there are 2 properties that abut this property with frontage on Main Street. And before you get to Kingston Lake Drive, they're already zoned professional. And additionally, there are other properties that do not have direct access or frontage on Main Street that are zoned professional, including properties on 7th Avenue, 9th Avenue, 13th Avenue, and Lakewood Avenue. The professional zoning district allows both commercial and residential uses, and some properties in this area that have either been used residentially and commercially, or that are set up for residential or commercial uses. The subject property abuts 2 other properties that are already zoned professional, and the applicants want to amend the future land use map so that they can also request to rezone the property to professional. Amendments to the comp plan, including amendments to the future land use map, require a 30-day notice in advance of the public hearing, and this request has been properly advertised for a public hearing for today's meeting. Planning Commission also held a public hearing on the request at their March 7th meeting and also recommended approval of the request. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have, and this is a public hearing as well.
Thank you, Ms. Hux. Before we go into the public hearing, are there questions from the council for Ms. Hux? So we will now make this a public hearing. Is there anyone present who would like to speak either in favor of or against this designation? This rezoning, I should say. There seemed to be no one. Mr. White?
May I move that we close public hearing? Excuse me.
Mr. Goldfinch?
I'll second his motion.
We probably seconded motion to close public input at this time. Close the public hearing at this time. All in favor, please indicate your favor with a showing of your hand. Motion carries unanimously. And now relative to the presentation of first reading, Mr. Goldfinch, please.
Mayor, I would move that we deny first reading of said ordinance. I'm happy to explain.
I second Mr. Goldfinch's motion. Is there any discussion or are there questions? Being none, we'll call a vote. All in favor of the motion to disapprove this request, please indicate so with a showing of your hand. Motion carries unanimously. Item 7 is first reading of ordinance ZA 2024-04-15B to rezone approximately 3,100 acres of property located on 6th Avenue from low, that's the same one. We don't need to do that a second time, do we?
Actually, the second one is the rezoning. The first was the comp plan amendment. So given the fact that council negated or voted no on the comp plan amendment, anything other than a no vote on this would be considered spot zoning and illegal. Just
Okay.
giving, probably
Let's go for it.
granting on her. Sorry.
If I just want to share some my opinion on this, and I do realize there are some other properties off of Main Street in Conway that have, over the years, for whatever reason, been rezoned professional. I get that. I also expect that at some point in the future, every property on Main Street will be rezoned professional, and that makes sense to me. But when you start to get, you're really encroaching on a residential neighborhood, and if we could do R2, I'd be fine with R2. I think the neighborhood would be fine with R2. But when you bring in professional, and we see it in some spots, you create traffic issues, you create blocked roads during the day, and I just think it sets a bad precedent when you start to encroach on those R1 neighborhoods. Just my opinion for what it's worth.
Anyone else? Comments or questions, concerns? There being none, relative to the actual request to rezone the property. So we start with the new motion, Adam? Is that where we are?
Yes, this is a separate issue from the last.
All right, I will move that we deny the rezoning request. Mr. Jordan?
I'll second that.
We have probably seconded motion to deny. Unless there are questions or comments, I'll call a vote. All in favor of the denial, please indicate so with the showing of your hand. Motion carries unanimously. Item 8 for consideration. Consideration of approval of a name for a new residential development located on Collins Jolly Road. That name being Maple Grove. Ms. Hux.
Yes, the proposed development is located on Collins Jolly Road and makes up tracts E, F, and G of the Collins Jolly Conservation Subdivision Master Plan. The Collins Jolly Conservation Subdivision was approved in 2022, and since that time, other tracts A, C, and D of that master plan have received preliminary plan approval. These particular tracts, E, F, and G, are now going through the technical review process. Article 10, Section 10.3.18 of the Unified Development Ordinance requires that all subdivision names be approved by City Council, and staff recommends approval of the proposed subdivision name.
Thank you, Ms. Hux. What is the will of the council? Mr. Goldfinch.
Mayor, I move that we approve the Maple Grove name for the subdivision.
Is there a second, Mr. White?
Second?
There's properly seconded motion to approve the name of the subdivision to be Maple Grove. Is there any further discussion? There being none, we'll call a vote. All in favor, please indicate so with the showing of your hand. Motion carries unanimously. Item B, consideration of a special event, Halloween Hustle, to be had on October 19th, 2024. Mr. Smith.
Madam Mayor, Council, I'm here today to talk about an event that we're having. It's actually our third annual Halloween Hustle, but it's a new location. It's going to be October the 19th, and that day is the day of the homecoming parade at Coastal Carolina University, so there'll be a lot of stuff going on. We'll start at 5:30 a.m. These times, I've been in contact with Hillary Howard. I'm going to talk with Chief Long about making it all work. We're going to start at Waccamaw Outfitters, the marina. The Coastal Carolina Parade will start at the police station. So we're trying to coordinate it to where it ends kind of catty-cornered, where it's not all at one time. Could be the perfect storm. We'll have a lot of people. We've already got 280 people interested in being in that race. And the people that are working with us is Coastal Race Productions, and they're anticipating over 1,200 people. So we're real excited about it, but it's a lot of congestion downtown. I wanted to warn you right to start with, so.
1,200 participants?
Yes.
Wonderful. I think.
And with the parade, that's a lot, but I think that we can all work it out to get our routes off of Laurel Street is key to bring it down Elm Street.
Mr. Goldfinch.
Mr. Smith, how does that compare with other races like, Under the Lights or?
Well, Under the Lights is more of a fun run. This is going to actually be 3 different races. There's a 10K that starts at 7 a.m., a 5K at 8:30, and a 1-mile fun run, which is basically what we kind of do at 9:30. The awards will be at 9:45. So with that, those times can change, and they probably will change. Just the way that the parade route, because usually, well, probably around 9:30, 9:45, the parade will be close to the marina at their ending point. And it may be a situation I need to come back to you whenever everything, it was kind of thrown to us this past week that the homecoming for Coastal Carolina would be this day.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Is there a motion? I move that we approve Halloween Hustle. Is there a second? Let's go. Ms. Hardwick.
Yes.
Thank you. We have a probably seconded motion to approve. All in favor, please indicate so with the showing of your hand. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
And I think Mr. Rogers is next. Consideration of another special event, the Easter egg drop. Mr. Rogers.
Good afternoon. The first special event I've got for you is Langston Baptist Church Easter egg drop. It is going to be held March 30th on Langston Baptist property. It's coming before you because they're proposing use of a helicopter to drop eggs. So that's up for your consideration.
Thank you so much. I move that we approve the Easter egg drop. Is there a second? Mr. Jordan?
I'll second your motion.
Before we vote, are there questions or comments?
Yes.
Mr. White?
And exactly where is this gonna happen now?
At the
Langston
soccer
Baptist
field
Church.
behind Langston Baptist Church.
Yes, ma'am. Mr.
Do we
Jordan.
anticipate any delays or traffic tie-up on 905?
There should not be unless it's just way bigger than they expect, but it should be all contained in the, off the highway.
So they can contain 1,500 people? That's what I read, that they're gonna have to expect 1,500 people. We can get those in and out without,
I think they feel confident about that.
okay.
We have a motion on the floor. All in favor of approving the Easter egg drop, please indicate so with the showing of your hand. Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Rogers, you're still on the hook. Consideration of another special event, Stations of the Cross, on March 29th, 2024.
Right, this event is for the Catholic Church of St. James. They are proposing an event downtown focused around the old tennis center, the county administration building, and the county parking lot adjacent. It is for March 29th. It would be they're going to set up 11 altars around that area and have a procession that goes to each one. And this is a repeat event. It was done on a Sunday before. This time it's being done on Good Friday, so I will remind everybody that the county offices will be closed that day, so there would not be a trouble with interaction with county employees that day.
Thank you, Mr. Goldfinch.
Mayor, I move that we approve this. It was a cool event last year. If you didn't see it, it's worth checking out.
Mr. White?
I'll second.
Are there any, we have a properly seconded motion, but before we call a question, are there any comments or questions? There being none, all in favor, please indicate so with the showing of your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
I'm sorry.
I thought your hand was since.
It was going.
Since you seconded it. Item E is consideration of a resolution encouraging South Carolina General Assembly and Governor to enact a statewide hate crime law. Mr. Rogers.
Right. S has been discussed at previous meetings and was mentioned earlier in this one. South Carolina is one of only 2 states in the United States that does not have a state hate crime law. The General Assembly has a couple versions of hate crime laws currently working their way through the process in Columbia. And based on previous discussions, staff have drafted a resolution for council to encourage the House Judiciary Committee, the Senate Judiciary Committee, and the governor to support some version of one of those laws.
Don't want to put you on the spot. Are you in a position to say anything about the extent to which a local ordinance would make any difference?
We're not really sure because like in 48 other states, it's handled at the state level, so there's no question on the authority of the state to do certain things. Cities are limited by the state in what laws they can pass. So that really is an attorney question, and it will probably be handled in the courts if the state does not pass anything, and these individual city ordinances have to be the only ordinances that are in effect in the state. Basically, someone in some city that has one will get charged, and I'm sure a number of groups will probably support an appeal of that decision to the courts.
Mr. White?
I was trying to find it on my phone, but I saw something today where Florence, the city of Florence, passed a bill of some sort, and it had a charge of $500 and 30 days in jail, and I can't find it now, but I would love for us to consider something like that as well. And that would be maybe about 5 communities or towns or cities that has a bill of some sort. So it's like we have to start somewhere, and like Mr. Neal said, the ordinance would be the right way to go, I think, but I'm not against the resolution, but what we wanted to do, what I asked to do once, is that this League of Cities write an ordinance or something to get to the governor's office, and then individual towns or cities can do as they wish. But I think that we need to do something other than just the resolution, if you know what I'm saying. Excuse me.
And we can bring you something in the future. We believe we may get some kind of draft model ordinance from the municipal association in the not-too-distant future that will provide us language that has been looked over by their attorneys.
The question I raised was more along the line of the limitations a municipality has in terms of what comes before its courts at all, limited to misdemeanors, punishable, as I understand it, or last I knew, up to $500, 30 days in jail, and no opportunity to add to that sentence, where hate crime would enhance a sentence. There's no enhancement of misdemeanors is what I understand.
Right, the cities that have done it so far have basically stacked this as a new crime that is basically on top of whatever the underlying crime was. And one thing to remind people, any felony type crime, any very serious crime is, if we make the arrest, it goes to the solicitor's office, it goes to the circuit court. It's not tried through our city courts, and so our city ordinances would not apply to any of those kind of cases. Anything you can picture as a serious violent crime, our city ordinance wouldn't have an impact on that.
Now, just for the sake of anybody listening, that does not mean that we won't consider something in the future, but the ability of the city to appreciably change or enhance a sentence based on a misdemeanor charge is nominal at best. Okay.
I'll say I think a lot of attorneys would agree.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Goldfinch.
Mayor, I move that we pass a resolution encouraging the South Carolina General Assembly and the governor to enact a statewide hate crime law.
Thank you. I'll second Mr. Goldfinch's motion. Is there any further discussion, comments, or questions? There being none, we'll call a vote. All in favor of our sending a resolution to the governor's office, making contacts, doing whatever else we do, please indicate so with the showing of your hand. Motion is approved unanimously. Thank you so much. Now for our city administrator's report, Mr. Emery.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
My report is very short today. First, the Recreation Department has, Ashley, will you hold that? You want to say that? The Easter egg hunts? All right, Ashley's reporting too, so I don't want to steal his thunder, which makes my report even shorter. Let's see, let me skip ahead. The Waccamaw Sportsman's Expo is this Friday and Saturday. If you've not been to one of the expos before, they're a lot of fun. There are dock diving dogs. So Larry, I believe you are not fans of dogs, so you go to the marina end and you can do the Serpentarium exhibit and see the snakes instead. There's also a puppet show. But there's a lot of really cool activities as part of the event, so if you haven't been to it, you definitely need to try it. The Conway High School and most of the county schools are holding their prom next Thursday. That's the day before Good Friday. So as in years past, expect large crowds of kids looking dapper in our downtown, getting their picture taken and all that. We have a couple new photo spots for them to enjoy this year that hopefully will add to that festivity. And lastly, if y'all are thrilled by the short meeting, allow me to invite you to Conway High School's boys soccer game tonight. It is 80s night in the backyard. It's a hype night, so it'll be a lot of fun, and it will let you experience soccer in a way that you probably haven't experienced it before. So 7:15 is game time. And I'm going to turn it over now to Ashley Smith and Chief Hendrick. Chief, you want to go first? And that concludes my report, unless there's any questions.
Thank you so much. Questions? There are none. Thank you. Chief Hendrick.
I'm not a question, but a comment. I'm not afraid of dogs.
You just don't like them.
I just don't like them when we have a public arena and, lots of people there,
Then this event is not for you.
These are trained dogs. These are very trained dogs.
I still don't care.
He's honest.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Just a quick update on the fire department. We've been fully staffed since March of 2023. We did a cumulative of 18,723 hours of training in 2023. That does not include the command staff, so that's a pretty good number. The training center's up and running. We've actually used it 80 hours since August of 2023, so that's been a huge asset for us and saved a lot of overtime costs. All that training's done on shift. Our fire apparatus order we placed in July, we got a tentative delivery date of September 2026, so maybe one day we'll get those. We're going to apply for the SAFER grant, which is the Staffing for Adequate Fire and Emergency Response, to help us add some personnel, hopefully. Our call volume, 2022, we're at 3,795 calls. In 2023, we're at 3,879. That's a 2.21% increase. So every year we're kind of trickling up as we grow. Our EMT update, we currently have 31 out of 42 eligible employees that are certified at the EMT level, which is significantly higher than last time I reported. We have 3 in class, which will bring it up even higher, and we have 3 more going after that. So we're getting there. We somewhat mandated it, so we'll hopefully have all the staff there at some point. From the risk management side, we're working on the annual update to the safety manual, and the emergency management side, we're reviewing the emergency operations plan for annual updates, which is required by the policy. Went to a meeting today for the LEPC, which is a local emergency planning committee or commission, and they talked about the new evacuation zones. If you haven't heard, the ABC evacuation zones have changed. Statewide, they've actually gone in and changed most areas and kind of honed down into what's actually affected versus the big areas. So they've got new maps out. They just released the new pamphlets today, so I don't have my hands on those yet. So once I get access to those, I'll send them out. It doesn't affect us, but it's good information to know. The whole Know Your Zone thing has changed, and their messaging has changed for that as well. So that's all new, so I think some more information will come out about that. Met with the National Weather Service today, and the lead meteorologist from the Wilmington office talked about the cone of uncertainty. When you have a storm, it shows the cone. Before, you would have tropical storm and hurricane watches and warnings for the coastal areas or coastal counties only. Now it's going to include all of the inland counties as well, so they don't think they're not affected. So a good example is when a storm's crossing Florida, it would only show the coastline, which was confusing. Now it'll show the entire state of Florida as it crosses over. So that's a pretty significant change from the Hurricane Center from the National Weather Service. So just something to look forward to in this year, because you know we're going to have at least one. Hurricane Idalia was our full activation for last year in August. That was a federal declaration, which is different than what we usually have in a state declaration. So we're trying to get our money back from that. Overtime cost only. They're just dragging their feet. 2 partial ESC activations in the winter, which was December and January for possible winter storms that actually were more of like tropical storms than winter storms, but it was during the winter months. They did not have federal or state declarations, so those were kind of a wash. And we're going to look to do a emergency management drill sometime in the next few months. That's all I have.
May I make a comment, Chief? I'm delighted that so many of our firefighters are now EMT trained, and I'm hoping that we're moving towards a day when we'll start to outfit a part of your group specifically for EMT services and not have to take ladder trucks out to house medical calls. Futuristically, but something we need to be planning on and working on. Mr. White and then Mr. Goldfinch.
The maps that are coming up, will this information be put on the Access channel, on local newspapers, and maybe local businesses as well, so that, you know, the general public can have access to them? Thank you, sir.
The good news is no part of Conway will be in an evacuation zone.
I'm sorry.
No part of Conway will be in an evacuation zone.
What does that mean?
We can't mandate they evacuate. If the governor does a governor's ordered evacuation, it's mandatory. But that's only in those zones, A, B, and C, which is actually smaller now than it was. So
Oh, I misheard what you said.
yeah, it's kind of
Yeah, that's weird.
And my reasoning for asking that also is that because some people might frequent some of the businesses here, but they might live in those zones, you know, somewhere else.
one thing that we do is we always target the low-lying areas or the ones we know are being inundated with floods, and strongly recommend they leave, but we can't technically make them leave. Like is in other areas that can actually make it. So we strongly recommend it for those areas.
And I don't know that mandatory evacuations have necessarily worked anyway. Mr. Goldfinch, I'm sorry, I'm infringing on you.
No, you're fine. I don't think they work either. Okay, EMT paramedic, obviously a paramedic has more advanced training. All right, but the EMT, whereas before, I mean, the EMT can get there and can do basic, like, I mean, what, are y'all gonna have equipment on the truck that they can?
We've added more equipment, and their training is obviously a step higher, so we feel like their level of care has already improved. We can see it through their report writing, and I don't go to many calls, when I do, I've seen a significant difference.
I think it's awesome, and I congratulate you all for doing that, because, you know, when you think about, there's 12 ambulances in Horry County, plus the 2 in Myrtle Beach. You got the one out there at Station 2, and then the next one's at Bucksport or Juniper Bay. So if that one's on a call, you know, the fire truck's gonna get there first, and then, you know, to provide that care. So it makes me feel better. So I appreciate y'all taking this initiative.
Anyone else? Thank you, Chief Hendrick. We'll now have council input.
Mayor, before that,
Yes, please. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, of all people, I would not deny you your chance to speak. I thought you'd already been up, haven't you? Haven't you already been up? Okay, all right.
So I broke this out into 2 parts. We have the Conway Sports and Fitness Center and our Parks and Recreation. Conway Sports and Fitness Center, during the month of February, we signed up 94 new members. During the month of February, we had 60 guest passes. Youth drop-in day passes are 641. Youth membership is right now at 123. And we're trying to get those guys and girls that are paying the $2 every time they come to understand it's only $5 a month, and it can save them some money and, you know, get them a drink or something when they're there. Total memberships are 2,857. Our goal for this year is to have 3,000 members. So that's our goal, and we should pass that here shortly. Our aquatics program, we have our Tiger Shark swim team, have a total of 35 swimmers, ages 5 to 18. We hosted February 10th our first annual Conway Medical Center Invitational. Teams from Myrtle Beach, North Myrtle Beach, Georgetown, YMCA were there, so we had a good group. Our aquatics part also hosted, it's called a Fitter and Faster Swim Clinic. We had 2 former Olympians to show up to teach this class, Lago Musillam and Bailey Darrow. We had 26 people, 26 swimmers that's all we could have. So it was really good, had really good feedback on that. Part 2. Okay, our Parks and Recreation Department, our community events, February 15th, we always partner with Wintermore Park Middle School. I do a lot with Ms. Livingston. We were part of their family fun night. We did some Zumba classes. We do some things with their teachers and their kids. We also gave away on February 3rd 150 backpacks. We partnered with Bethel AME Church, and Bethel AME Church also gave 100, so 250 backpacks. And this is an idea that Councilman White had, that everybody always has the backpack giveaways in August. So by the time December, January, February comes, they lost them or whatever. So it was filled with school supplies. So we're happy with that. Coming up on community events, during the summer, we're going to work with a program that Chief Long and I, we haven't discussed in a while, but we're actually got funding to do it. It's called Rec on the Go. So we'll go to different parks, all of our parks in the city of Conway, and set up different games for kids to play during the summertime. Speaking of our parks, we've got new benches and concrete pads installed at Collins Park. Those benches will be able to be purchased by citizens if you have to remember your mom, dad, somebody passed away, to do that. So the money coming from that will pay for those benches, and they look really good over there. We're excited about our parks. We have plenty of open space for anything. Just not as big as those big parks in the city, but we have a lot of open space that you can have a picnic and not just having fields and having different playground equipment. So we're excited about that. Our program's coming up. Almost it. This week, March 22nd, we'll have our floating egg hunt, which will open up our pool and have all the kids come in to get eggs, and Easter Bunny will be there. Big day is March 23rd, this Saturday. It's our annual Easter egg hunt. we'll have about 75,000 candy field eggs. We'll split this up in all our fields, different age groups. Then, that'll start at 10. At 11, we'll have our sensory-friendly egg hunt, which we coordinated with SOS Healthcare. Then, on the 28th, we'll have our teen egg hunt, which will get some of the older kids to do it at night. And when flashlights, it's a pretty cool deal. April the 1st to the 4th is our spring break camp. Summer day camp, it's filling up fast, so we need to get people signed up for that. Athletics, last thing. Our soccer, baseball, softball, last year we had 1364, this year we have 1366. And the reason why, every year we've grown, but we had to cut out because of field space. The limited usage of our fields is crazy, the way that everybody comes and wants to practice and do that. So that we did cut it off so everybody have a good experience. It will be 15, 16 people on the team. Our spring sports jamboree will be April the 6th at the Billy Gardner Sports Complex. Coach Kevin Small, Chauncey, and members of the 13th ranked Coach of the Carolina baseball team will be our guests. This will also be picture day for our kids, because all of them will be there. We're also having a big community yard sale, and it's kind of a thank you for all of our vendors that work with us during the holiday market and all the stuff we do. Manny's going to waive that fee, so we're going to have a bunch of people at the Sports and Fitness Center. The last thing is our sports tourism report. Whenever we started here, whenever it started, we wanted to make sure that our fields were being used. That was the key. It would be Saturday and Sunday, nobody would be here. So we've made a real big effort to try to get teams and different organizations here. This year we have 22 baseball tournaments, with the last one being November the 23rd. This past weekend we had 36 teams, ranging from South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, at our complex. So working to try to get economic development, talking with Mr. Emmerich, and he put us on that placer about AI, to see how much money that we're actually bringing into the community. One concern that we have is there's no hotel rooms. So they're staying at the beach. Hopefully they're spending their money here, but they're staying at the beach. We're also hosting the South Carolina State Gymnastics Championship, April the 4th through the 7th, which is going to be a big deal. And this is the one that's probably going to get me to lose my job at some point. But we're hosting Lucha Libre Mexican Wrestling, April the 21st. And it's going to be fun, and we're going to have a good time. And that's part of our initiative to bring everybody involved in our community.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Go ahead, Mr. Gomez.
Two-part question. Can you elaborate on the wrestling event?
It's wrestling.
It's wrestling.
Yeah, we're working with members of our community that want to see things done. We work with for the Day of the Dead in different organizations, and they talk about this wrestling. It looks pretty neat, and you have a lot of people come in and watch. Our place is big enough, and to get into sports tourism business, it's a tough market when you're fighting against Myrtle Beach, North Myrtle Beach, that crowd. Last year we did the dog championships. So you have to start, I'm not saying the Mexican wrestling is at the bottom, but you got to start to get these big events, and to get where we want to get sports tourism in, to bring the money that we want to bring to our town. That's what we have to do. Now, the one thing about doing this is the concern that we have is that we're not taking care of our city residents with private times, that kind of thing. I've been working very closely with Ms. Deborah Butler and Mr. Muhammad at Smith Jones Park, and they're letting us use the baseball field. We're cleaning it up. We're partnering with them to do different things, and the partnership has been great. And it's been really good with the tennis courts and just kind of working together.
Part two, separate question, and you just alluded to that, but you alluded to it earlier as well, the growing demand for youth athletics in particular. You mentioned not having enough space. Has staff identified areas in Conway that, maybe that aren't at the rec center, but in other parts of the community that might be attractive for that?
Yeah, we've held meetings and looking at different spots throughout the city. Again, a lot of places are right there where we're at. I like to get towards Conway Elementary School in that area, but it just depends on what we can do with the money that we got. Space is crucial, but there's different ways to do it. We have a land over there by the dog park, behind the dog park. The only problem is it gets flooded. Now, we can make that a field. We can do different things, and we want to make sure that we're on the right path of what we're doing with our growth, especially with the new housing lot of activity in the next 5 to 6 years.
Mr. White? Swimming, if, lifeguards for the summer, have you, sent out information about getting lifeguards?
We have, we sent that information out, and we should be having our first meeting in about 2 weeks. So the pool's gonna open, May 31st. And we're gonna change the hours to open up later, because what I found is that it closes at 5 o'clock, and, you know, a lot of people get off work till 5:30. So we'll film it that way.
Very good, thank you.
Anyone else? Ms. Hardwick?
Okay, let's go back to the Easter eggs. How many did you say you were?
74,000 as of right now.
74,000?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Next year.
Can we make it 75, you think?
Who counted this?
Can we?
It's a different one, you get 7,000 for tax bracket, so you get
So,
I think that's-
do you and our staff stuff those eggs, or do they come stuffed with candy? Oh, good.
Smart purchasing.
So that works out.
Yeah, those are some great activities y'all got going on, and I think it's, y'all done well in trying to reach as many people across the board as you can. I applaud you.
So that works out to how many eggs per kid usually?
It's not that sure. But with that being said, if a kid does not have eggs, we have an extra 1,000, and that's where that comes in a box, and we'll make sure every kid gets something, if there's somebody crying. We also have a mare's egg, that has $1,000 in it, that I'll need to get that check from you.
Put me on the spot.
I think it's time's up, isn't it?
Anyone else? Thank you. Enough already. We'll now have council input, and we'll start with Ms. Helms.
I don't have anything tonight.
All right, Ms. Butler.
I have one thing. We heard in the public input about the Livermore Task Force. I just want to make sure that we're being as transparent as possible with the public as well as the members of the task force with decision-making and how this came about. I know the individual members were contacted, but for the public, a lot of people are possibly unaware of how everything transpired. So I just want to make sure that we're being fully transparent with where the task force is going. Is it on pause? Another person said it's disbanded. I just want to make sure that we're as transparent as possible when it comes to the direction that the task force will go into the future and where they are now.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. White?
Okay, yes, ma'am, thank you. I was accused of having something to do with the dissolving of the sale for the Baptist church. I was not, it didn't have anything to do with the sale of it. Our concern was that we needed to make certain that this group brought back an exit route from 378 to get back to 378. And that's a good place. I've gone to one Saturday in Georgetown, nice building, etc. But I was concerned about the safety of those kids and those 2 new houses that was just built there to make sure they didn't go back to the right if you're going down towards Smith Jones. So I did not have anything to do with them backing out of the deal. So I just want you to hear that from me. Thank you.
Mr. Gomez.
I'm gonna piggyback on Mr. White's comment. I was not here. It was President's Day. I was out of town with my children at the last meeting, but it was my understanding y'all deferred it, not shot it down, right?
Right.
Okay. And I'm glad you're still here, sir. I would encourage, to go back after them. I would love to have a Parker's Kitchen right there. Perhaps the logistics have to get worked out, but this council has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars purchasing properties on 378 in the last number of years to enhance the quality, to, in some cases, clean up things that needed to be cleaned up. And when you've got an organization like that comes in and puts, millions of dollars on a corner to make it look good, what's going to happen is, I think, and I don't have a crystal ball, but it's going to encourage the owners of the surrounding properties to do the same thing. And I just see it as an economic development opportunity for that stretch of 378. And so I would, that would have been my pitch had I been here the other night, but I wasn't. And so I just wanted to share that. And then also, obviously, and the mayor said we don't interact during public input, and so I couldn't say what I really wanted to say then, and that's probably a good thing. But, I've lived here my entire life, and I know that we live in a growing area, and with that comes constraints, and with that comes new challenges. And I grew up in the Maple area of Conway, so North Conway, and I can remember you could get to the Walk-A-Mall Pottery riding in the back seat of my mama's station wagon in 14 minutes. And you can't get anywhere in 14 minutes anymore. But, with that, those challenges, we have to recognize it's just frustrating when it seems to come from groups of people who just moved here. And, no, sir, your taxes are not going up, because I'm just going to say it. A lifelong resident or a long-term resident should not have to subsidize growth. And that's why we did what we did in a way that would ensure, by using the planned development, that we were going to be compensated for this additional growth. We were going to receive monies from this development so as to not put that burden on the backs of citizens that have been paying their fair share for decades. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Goldfinch. Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not going to repeat everything Mr. Goldfinch just said, but I think you nailed that. So just very briefly, I'll just say that I think we have, Mr. Goldfinch corrected me earlier. I said it was Mr. White's 21st birthday, and William said it's his 49th anniversary of his 21st birthday. So happy birthday, Mr. White.
Thank you.
You're not getting. Oh, no, it's not over yet. Thank you. Are you done, Mr. Jordan?
Yes,
Thank you,
ma'am.
sir.
Thank
Ms. Hardwick.
First of all, I'm just going to start with the fun stuff. I love coming over the bridge and seeing the Easter eggs and trees. That totally made my afternoon. I love seeing the Happy Easter signs. I know we keep talking about them, but again, I think it's worthy of saying, job well done. It brought a smile to my face, and I think it will to a lot of other people's also. I agree with, we've talked about some heavy stuff up here, but I want us to also look at what we've got going on good in our community. I think everybody needs to be looking at the Coastal Carolina University baseball team, number 13, ranked number 13th in the nation. That is huge for our community and our economic development and bringing students into our area. I think as we continue to work and grow, and some of the things I've heard us say is retaining young people and having young people invest in our community. And I think our university, our creative eggs in the tree, that helps keep students and families that want to stay here and move here. In addition, Chief Hendrick, thanks for your EMTs and your certification. I had a neighbor, and I got to witness that firsthand a few weeks ago, and they were right on spot, and it was great to see them moving quickly and working efficiently to provide the aid they needed and to the patient. It was really great. And also, I'm really looking forward to all the activities that Ashley Smith that you spoke about at the Recreation Center, and I think it's great that we have engaged so many of our young people in those activities, and I just hope to see it grow and grow and grow, and in offering of activities and involvement of students and young people and everyone else. And happy birthday, Larry White.
Thank you very much.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you. I want to, yes, please. Sir, I'm sorry. I can't hear from you now. Sir, I'm sorry, we can't hear from you now. My input will be brief. About the task force, all about being transparent. I don't know how to do that except to sit here today and say that it was not anyone's intention that the news got out before we got out to say anything about it. It was intended to be a pause, and it is a pause. It has to do with some clear lines of communication that have been not utilized, because I think we're working from we meaning the task force and the city with different sets of ideas about what's available, what can happen in a frame of time. I tried my best personally, it's all I knew to do, to invite members of the task force. Mr. George Brown, somehow in my haste, I forgot that your name was missing, but I did add to everybody, to the list of names, that if there was a name I'd forgotten, please share that information. One person responded. Another person told me on the day of that she would meet with me another day. I'm ready to tell anybody. It is just that what we learned as a direction just is outside the realm of what we think is possible in any reasonable amount of time. And clearly the possibility for having a staff person present was determined to be not essential to the task force, but could have actually kept us in the same line of thinking, I believe. But I'm totally transparent. I don't know who said it was a breaking up of the organization. We said pause. That's a pause is a pause as far as I'm concerned. I don't get to determine what happens. I'm one of 7. We've got a weak mayor form of government, and it takes a majority of this group to come up with any plan, any decision making. But we just needed to take the time to exhale and determine where we're going from there. About Parker's Kitchen, there's nothing unethical, sir, about just trying to make sure that our children are safe. We did not deny the sale, the new designation of what could be had on that property. I sat here in this room and said clearly to everybody here that I was speaking out of both sides of my mouth. On the one side, I was terribly concerned about things like there being a daycare center, children walking unsupervised. I did, sir. A cemetery, a playground, so close by, and that's within the realm of my responsibility. On the other side, I said, but I do want development such as that in this community, and we needed to work out a way to see how to make that happen. It is so easy to hear part of a story, to hear people's interpretation of a story, and to take it as truth, when oftentimes that is not the case. I don't typically use this venue as an opportunity to try to explain where I sit on things. I don't necessarily believe that that is proper, but nothing here is unethical. I don't get anything out of allowing Parker's Kitchen to come. I don't get anything out of disallowing Parker's Kitchen to come. I see good and bad in it, and we simply needed to work out some things with them. That they pulled away is not our doing. I am extremely excited and happy about the events that are coming in our community. I think that they are community building. I think they serve the best interest of people broadly, particularly our children, who I hope we keep in the forefront of our minds as we plan anything. And I would be remiss if I were to end this meeting in any other way but to ask that this audience join me. And I'm going to sing so low you don't even know I'm singing. But our city council member who sits to my left and from where you are on the right of me celebrates today a huge birthday. I mean, of great magnitude. And now I precede him by a year and a half, but at any rate, it's big. Larry White today turned 70 years old, and I think that's worth a celebration, and if you'll join me, please. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Larry. Happy birthday to you. And many more.
Thank you all, thank you all, thank you all.
With all that said, go
Mayor,
ahead.
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a properly seconded motion to adjourn this meeting. All in favor, please indicate so with a showing of your hand. Motion carries unanimously, and we are now adjourned.
Do we not have a